In this video, we're going to look at the syllabus for Intermediate Algebra with Review Online, and I'm going to go through and hit the high points, and you will want to go back and reread the syllabus in its entirety just so that you are familiar with how the course works and the policies and procedures. So let's get started. The first thing I want to point out is that it is a 5 credit hour course, so you may be used to taking 3 credit hour courses. What this means is that you probably will have a little bit more work each week just because it is more credit hours, and we'll talk about that in a little bit in regards to how much time you should be spending. My name is Shelby Jansen. I am the head of the math department here at WATC, so I do have an office and a phone number. The phone number is 677-1921, and that does leave a voicemail that I can access in my email. So even if I'm not physically in my office, I can check my voicemail even on the weekends when I'm away. So feel free to leave a voicemail, but I won't be returning your phone call until I am back at the office. So just want to let you know that if you call me on a Friday night, you may not get a return phone call until the following Monday. If you need to email me, please email me through Blackboard. I teach several classes here at the college, and if you email me through Blackboard, I automatically know your name and what course you're in, and it just helps me troubleshoot and better answer any questions that you may have. I do have office hours on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. On Monday, I'm in the office till 2:30, and that's at Southside. And Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I'm here till 4:30. I do attend a lot of meetings and trainings during the times that I'm not in class. So if you need to come see me, you might want to give me a phone call or an email and make an appointment so that way I don't miss you. The course description. This course pretty much is kind of a combo course. It combines elementary algebra and intermediate algebra. So when you are completed with this course and you successfully pass, it's the same as passing intermediate algebra or Math 101. So if you need that for your program, this class does fulfill that requirement, and you would be able to move on to college algebra if you needed college algebra for your program. So we're going to skip through some of this material, and let's look at what you're going to need for this class. If you have previously taken Math 020, Math Fundamentals, or Pacer Math 025, then you already have everything that you need, and there's no additional materials that you would need to purchase for this class. If you have not taken either one of those classes, then you will need to purchase your MyMathLab access code, and that can be done online directly with Pearson when you log on for the first time, or you can purchase that through the WATC bookstore if you're needing to use your financial aid money. We do recommend a scientific calculator, and this is the model that we recommend, although any scientific calculator would do. I would refrain from using your cell phone for a calculator only because you won't be able to use that during the midterm and final when you come to campus. So you'll want to actually have a calculator that you're familiar with and that you can use. And honestly, it's a lot easier to use fractions on a calculator versus a cell phone. So if you've got any questions about a calculator, I am happy to help with that as well. And if you are close to campus, you could always come to our tutoring center, and they can also show you how to use your calculator. We do offer tutoring at our Southside and NCAT campuses, and I have heard through the grapevine that we will very soon also have free online tutoring as well. So once I know more about the online tutoring, I will definitely be emailing you all about that, because that'll be a great tool that you can use. But for the meantime, you do have access to face-to-face tutoring at Southside and NCAT. This course, the way your grade is divided up is your MyMathLab, Pearson homework, and other online activities in Blackboard will make up 25% of your grade, and then the midterm and the module post-tests are 55% of your grade, and the final exam is 20% of your grade. So now we're going to kind of look at those different areas in a little bit more detail. So the first thing we're going to look at is your Blackboard modules. All of the information, your assignments and lessons and other activities are all divided up into modules into Blackboard. And you'll see those, and you'll see dates as well. How much time you should be spending each week. A face-to-face 5 credit hour course would be expected to spend 5 hours in class, taking notes, learning the material, working on problems and activities and so on, and then probably 2 to 3 hours outside of class working on homework. So that's about 7 to 8 hours that a face-to-face student would be expected to work on their algebra class, which is approximately the same amount of time an online student should also be spending on the course. You're going to need time to learn the materials, go through the interactive tutorials, maybe even some PowerPoints if you need some extra help there, maybe get with tutoring, those types of things. So you definitely want to make sure you carve out time in your schedule and don't just jump into the homework without taking time to learn the concepts first, because you will get frustrated very easily. We do have multiple due dates. Every Tuesday and every Friday there will be something due in the course, and the time for that is by 11:59 p.m. So as long as you've submitted those assignments before midnight on Tuesdays and Fridays, then you will be good to go, and a full and complete list of those items and their due dates can be found in your Blackboard modules as well. There is a checklist there. Here we're just going to look a little bit more in depth at how you're going to learn the concepts. Like I said before, you do have access to what we call interactive tutorials, and there's a couple different ways to access those. You're also going to have a workbook that when you purchase the code through the WTC bookstore, it was bundled with a workbook. And you can use that workbook to help you learn some of the concepts as well. There's vocabulary terms and practice problems there for you. And you also have access to those workbook pages in the start menu of your Pearson My Math Lab course. You also have Pearson tools. Next to each problem, you're going to see things like Help Me Solve This and View an Example, and there's Ask Your Instructor in there as well. So the Help Me Solve This just walks through the problem, the exact problem step by step, and when you get to the end, it gives you a fresh problem that you can do. And then the View an Example is just that. It gives you an example problem that's not the same as the problem you currently have. And you can use that example problem to help you solve your problem. There's also a multimedia library where you can access lectures that are specific to that lesson, where you actually get to see an instructor explain it. And so that's kind of nice. There's PowerPoints, and you can also access the interactive tutorials through the multimedia library as well. There's different types of tasks and homework problems that you're going to be working on. Most of your homework is going to be in Pearson, and those problems you can work through multiple times until you get 100%. And then there are also activities that we have on Blackboard that you'll see every so often. A couple of the different activities that I like to use are Padlets and quizzes, and the directions for using or for finishing those activities will be in Blackboard. So Padlets are pretty much an open-ended type of kind of a discussion board, but just you'll need to read the directions for that, but it's just responding to a prompt. Quizzes are going to be more of an online quiz, multiple choice, and those will be graded for points, 20 points apiece, and more information will be in Blackboard. Even though it's an online class, I still recommend that students have a 3-ring binder because you're going to want to work out your problems on paper, and instead of just chicken scratch, I encourage students to treat it just like you would if you were working problems out of a textbook, and number your paper and kind of keep things organized. That way, when you are working problems over and over or preparing for a test, it's easier to go back and see what you did. So I would encourage you to do that as well. As far as exams, we've got a little bit of information here about exams. You do have exams through Pearson, and as you work through your exam, you will also be expected to write down all of your work on a piece of paper and keep that numbered and organized, because when you finish your exam on Pearson, you're going to submit your written work in Blackboard, and all the directions and everything will be there. But I just want to point that out. When you submit your written work, and that is required, if you have done your review in Pearson prior to taking the test, then you will be eligible for extra test points, and I will base that on your written work. So you want to make sure that it's readable, and that you're able, and that I'm able to read it when you do submit that. And again, there's going to be directions and instructions in Blackboard on how to submit your written work. You are allowed to make up or retest one test this semester. So if you never have to make up one and you do all of them by the due dates, then at the end of the semester, you can go back and pick one and do a retest if you don't like your score on one of them. but you are only allowed one. So if you happen to miss 2 different test dates, you can make up one of them. Students have been able to pass the course by having a 0 on a test, but if you miss more than 2 tests, then it's going to be very difficult to get a passing grade. Your midterm and final exam need to be proctored tests, either on campus or online through a service called ProctorU, and there are additional fees for that. You also have to get a 50% or higher on the final exam, regardless of your grade going into the test, so in order to pass the course. So I will remind you of that once we get closer to the final exam. You can earn extra test points, as I said just a minute ago, when you submit your written work, and if you have done the My Math Lab review, I will look at your written work and give you extra test points. And since tests are 55% of your grade, extra test points do go a long way. So I highly recommend that you do that review prior to taking the test. Late work, all Pearson homework assignments will be deducted 10%, but you are allowed to do those after the due date. Things like Padlets and quizzes, though, those have to be done by the due date. You cannot complete those late. The last day to withdraw from this course is April 13th, so I want to make sure that if you are looking at dropping, you want to do so by that date. And attendance, you'll want to make sure that you're logging on. If you do not log on for 14 consecutive days, then you will be automatically dropped by the registrar, and I would have to ask permission from the dean to get you back into the class, and a lot of times that does not happen. So please make sure that you are logging in regularly and completing tasks. And then finally, down here at the end is a calendar with dates. There's also these same dates in Blackboard on the modules, and you also have module checklists, and due dates also appear in Pearson next to each homework assignment. So you should definitely know and be aware of all of those dates. They are in multiple places. And with that, if you have any questions about the syllabus, please feel free to email me anytime or stop by my office, and I look forward to working with you this semester. Have a great semester.